Alright. Alright. Oh, what the heck? Hold that. I got something popped up in front of my OBS. Okay. Alright, here we go. Okay, OBS looks good. Streaming, no drop frames. Alright, we're good. So I'm gonna give this a minute. Let a couple people filter in, hopefully. Hey, how you doing, Tim? I just got it started. I'll give it a couple minutes because I'm actually early. I literally just welded the ball onto this and it's still really hot. If you were watching the stream the other night, because I did a kind of a unscheduled, not my normal day, stream on Friday or Saturday, or no, Friday. On Friday, so on Friday I started making a bell out of a piece of pipe, and I got that. And when I'm looking at it right here, when I swedged it down, I used a swedge, but it left a real straight spot right there. I want to kind of knock them corners off there. This has got to get collapsed down farther, because I want it to collapse down to maybe about the size of maybe 3/8 round. Sounds good. And once we get this part done, then we can start on the clacker. Now this is slightly bigger than the size of this, so I'm going to heat it up. I'll heat this whole bell up. I'll cool this top end. Set it on here, hammer that down, drive that down good onto that. Once I get that on there good, I'm going to come put that there and drive that in a little bit and make that smaller, because when I put the clacker in, I'm going to actually forge weld that, and I may have to, I think what's going to happen is I'm going to have to trim a bunch of that away. So how's Tim? Let's get a little air in the fire. Like I said, literally this is still really hot. Too hot to quench. It'll crack that weld. That reminds me to shut the tank out. Alright. And I did it, I MIG welded it. It's not a forge weld. I just made that tool up real quick just so that I could do this. So I wasn't worried about making it real fancy. I mean, I just tapered down and made a shank. Then kind of tapered it down a little bit, and then just MIG welded it onto that bar. I can go back and smooth out that weld and make it look real pretty. I don't know if I ever will. Hey Alexis! I started up early. I kind of wasn't paying much attention. I literally just welded this on and it's too hot to quench still. And I made this ball tool got the round privet forge welded. Now, it was easier to weld this ball on and have a nice smooth straight ball than to try to taper it down and then form a ball. I mean, I've got all these ball bearings. In different sizes that I just need to put stakes on. But, well, so I'm putting stakes on them. Eventually I'll make up a whole set. Don't know when I do make up the whole set what's going to happen, because Roy Adams was telling me that he made up a whole entire set of them. He said, man, he sold them because he never used them. And pretty much right now we got the bell that we started making. I cut it off the pipe, and then I ground this down a little bit because this was basically that big around. So I ground it down a little bit, and I got this sharp edge right here where that fuller went in and left a flat instead of a nice round. It's got a big flat there, and it's going to get worse as I fuller deeper because I need this smaller. So I'm going to have to drive it down onto this ball. I'll heat it up, and then I'll cool this end, drive it down on the ball, stretch out this part through here a little bit, because the ball is a little bit bigger than the pipe. Hey, Trail Dust. Alright, so might as well go ahead and I'll get this in the fire and we'll get it heating up. I'm going to take it slow because I got to heat quite a ways up into it without melting it. And that edge is kind of thin. Yeah, I literally just welded this, and it is it's still too hot to quench. I just MIG welded the ball on. I mean, I don't expect I'm going to use these tools a lot, but when I need one, I got one. I can go back and grind the weld down and make it all look nice and pretty, but I probably won't. I mean, if I make some for somebody else, then maybe I will. For myself, I don't generally worry about how perfect my tools look, as long as they get the job done. I can hold my hand off of it now. It's getting pretty cool. Yeah, she's still warm. I could probably quench it, and if it wasn't a ball bearing, I probably would. Cool enough that I'm not worried so much about the weld as I am the heat affected zone next to it and that ball bearing cracking. I think it'll hold. And you're just jelly that I got balls to bust. Alright, like I said, I'm going to pull it out. I'll dip that top piece that I don't want to squish down where I fullered it. So I'll dip that, cool that, and start stretching it down over the ball, because the ball is slightly bigger than the inside diameter of that belt. But the next size down ball fit really loose. know, I looked all over for this piece, you know, like a few minutes ago to try to decide which ball it was I needed, and it's sitting right there on the board the whole thing. Gotta love it. Alright. Go back and grab a hammer. Grab a hammer. Alright. So the first thing we'll do is pull it out, cool that top a little bit, and then see if we can't drive that down onto that ball. That was something I wasn't anticipating. Alright. Now that drove down and I can see the ball down through it. Now I just have to get it back up off me. The only problem is that whole stake is still hot. That went a lot smoother than I thought it was gonna, to be honest with you. Uh-oh. Maybe not. It may be locked on that ball right now. Then obviously as it cools it's going to lock harder. We may have a problem here. I'm also trying to get it off without damaging the flare that I've made so nicely, but I may end up having to damage it and just go back and reform it over a bigger ball in the hardy hole like I did when I formed it the first time. Well, that may have been a bad idea. I think I got that stuck on the ball. Maybe if I just keep working it, I can get it to come off. Or maybe I can take something and punch it down through. Try it out. Unfortunately, I think the ball popped in there and now it won't pop back out because it's closed down around it. Wow, it is really closed down around it. This making a bell might be a real short stream. Perfect. Ah. putting a big divot right in the top of that nice ball. There we go. All right. So I'm going to have to keep working that, I guess, until it fits good over the ball before I move on. And this is another one of them projects where I didn't go ahead and make one ahead of time, so I'm winging it through the whole thing. It's not really going to have a whole lot of texture, because I am beating it right against the ball. But you can see where I drove it out. Well, maybe you can't see it. I used like an eye punch and it put a big dimple in it. Which will that'll grind out and I'll be left with just a little bit out of round. Should be alright. This is probably cool enough now. Yeah, that I can cool it off. It did sizzle a little bit when it hit the water, so probably too early. We'll see. I don't think it's going to go anywhere for what I'm doing with it. Alright. Once again, we're heating it really slow. We don't want to burn the flared part down below before the heat gets up to the top. I might do one more heat, putting it down on, and then before I start crushing down the parts that I fullered. I got to bring that down more. I may do it in the guillotine tool. I got to bring that down until it fits probably around like a 3/8 round. But like I said, I'm heating it up slow, giving it a chance to heat up without burning the flare off on the bottom. Turning it quite often. Once I get it to where it goes on the ball and off the ball, that's all I really care about, then I can move on. Alright, that looks good. So now I got it to where it goes on the ball nicely. Now I'm going to crush that down. So I'll flip it over, put it in the forge the other way, pull this tool out of the way. You know, and all the time I've had this, I never got around to just simply welding a bar along the side of this to go down into my hardy hole. I deal with it jumping around, and I don't know why I don't just do it right and get it over with. This may be awkward to grab like this, but we'll see what happens. Hammer over there, grab all the crap on. Alright. Let me get in there. Now this is a different size. So it's going to take a while just to get down to where the old one was. That's feeling better. Now you can see how it pushed it out, widened it out, because these dies are wider than what I had in the other, the one that I used to neck it down, the whole pipe width. So I'll heat it up, take a few more heats. At some point, probably should stop and fix the flare before I get the top too far gone. Let's see if I got a piece of 3/8 round. Sounds good, and I'll just keep that handy so that I can put it in there and size that hole right to 3/8 when I get closer. Just checking because I just keep problem with doing pipe is you'll squeeze it in one direction, you'll get a real oval hole if you try to go too fast. But if you go slow and keep checking it, you can get it pretty good. You can see it's getting smaller. Probably the next heat it'll fit the 3/8. I don't know if you can see how close that is. So I'll get that down to where it fits the 3/8, and as soon as it fits the 3/8, we will go ahead and oh crap, go ahead and flip it over and fix our flare end before it gets any worse. And to do that, it's pretty easy. We're just going to grab out a couple of the balls and tap tap tap. And to fix that flare, yeah, okay. Alright, let's do one more heat. Necking that down. The pipe's so soft and I'm so close to where I want to be. You notice that I was just barely tapping on it, and I've got it now. I can't get that through, so that's right about where I want it. I'll just pop that right in there. That's not going to work. Can't turn it. It is pretty close and it's pretty round. I think it'll be alright. but now my hole in the center is about 3/8. Okay, before I destroy that flare on the top that I got, I'll go ahead and help me out here. I'm drawing a blank. Before I destroy that flare on the top, I'll go ahead and redo the flare on the bottom. Well, I got something to hammer on. And it shouldn't take more than one heat to fix the flare on the bottom. I'll just set a ball right there. I know. Oh, look at them balls. Woo-hoo. Bunch of these were balls I picked up at Quad State. Some of them I already had. Like the second to the biggest one, this size I already had. I had one more of the biggest one, the same exact size. One should go easy. There's two. All right. All right, so I fixed, for the most part, I fixed the flare. Still got one little weird wonky spot. That looks pretty good. I got it back. Alright. So now my flare is re-rounded. I took the bent spot out of it. Doesn't look bad. So now I'll come in and work on that end where the parts that the clacker is going to hang on. I'm not sure what that's called. Where that's going to go through. Before it's all said and done, I may end up taking it over there to the grinder and happen to grind just a little bit off to get it straight and square. Like I said, this is an experiment. I don't recall ever making one like this before. I got the idea in my head. I'm not even sure it's going to work, how I'm going to do the clacker. So I'm working that down. Once again, you got to go slow so that it doesn't collapse on itself because you're working in pipe. So I've been just a round privet forge welding. You can see it's coming down. I'm just trying to bring it down without damaging that area we're in the center. And once I get it close, I put a 3/8 rod through there and just hammer it down until it hits the rod. Like I said, I may be trimming some of that off. Well, nobody's talking. Well, it doesn't hold when you ever You can see I'm bringing it down, getting it down close. I'm almost to the finished size. I think I may have to taper a 3/8 round off real quick so that I can drive it in there, because I'm probably going to have to drive it in. It's deformed that hole. Alright, so you can see I just went over and tapered off a bar real quick. Alright, so I got that poked through there, and I got that nipple made. I'm going to go ahead and cool this for a sec real quick. Alright, so so I can show you what I got. So now you can see I got that nub. Where am I here? All right. That nub, but what I'm going to do is grind about half that back. And just get rid of it. I kind of had to leave it there to straighten out the other part and get it rammed down on before I could remove it. Alright, see what we got here. So now I'm thinking, before I put my, I gotta take a little bit more off, one second. Alright, now I'm thinking before I put the clacker in, this edge needs, you can see it's got like a flat spot and a sharp corner. I want that to be smooth and round. That's what my ball stake is for. So now I'll heat it up, bring it out, set it on the ball stake, and just kind of hammer on them spots and form them to the ball. I'll get a different pair of tongs that actually fits. I think maybe ½ inch for that. Yeah, that should work. All right. Is anybody still watching? Am I still streaming? See, I wish I knew. Oh, participants, just me. That's it. All right. Well, I'm going to keep going on this bell. I'm going to touch up that bad spot on my thing. There, I had to touch up where I ran that punch down into it, and it deformed it a little bit. Alright, we're bringing this up to temp, kind of slow, because we want to heat it without burning off the thin spot. Then we're going to put it on there and round out that part that's real flat and yucky looking. When I get done, this will probably be a decent looking bell. Yeah, I just try to keep talking so that, you know, everybody else will want to watch. You know? If I just stop talking totally, then nobody would want to watch. I've been kind of busy playing around lately. I went out and I guess to give you a backstory, my yard isn't very big. It's a 100 by 200 lot. It's kind of on the side of a hill. Well, it's kind of like on the top of the hill, and then it slants down into my backyard. But the other day I decided that, you know, I really needed for my 100 by 200 yard a mini excavator. So I went out and bought myself one of them little Chinese mini excavators because my yard's kind of small. I can't justify buying a Kubota or a Bobcat or a brand name. Here we are back where I was before, stuck on the stake. Set the tongs down over there. Actually, that's kind of working out good because it's letting me get right in there and hammer on that corner where I want to. Now you can see I'm starting to get more round. And it's getting rid of that flat spot in there. Now I'm hoping I can just pull it off here now. Nope. Gotta work at it. Man. Alright, it's off there now. Pull the tool. So I've been goofing around. No, I didn't even justify it by telling her how much money I'd save. I justified it by saying I fucking want one and I'm getting one. And even my wife knows that I literally live like a quarter of a mile, yeah, probably closer to an eighth of a mile from a place that rents equipment. Heavy equipment. I rented a skid steer off them years ago before I bought mine. And I could have easily rented one much cheaper. You know, even if I rented one for a couple, for a weekend, 3 or 4 weekends to do everything I want to do, it still would have cost me less than half of the price of what they cost, but I got it. And I bought a whole bunch of attachments to go with it too. I got the post hole digger with the 8-inch and the 12-inch bit. I got the log grapple, the hydraulic thumb. I've got an 8-inch bucket, the 16 that comes on it, a 20-inch flat bucket, a 32-inch flat bucket, a 40-inch tip power hydraulic bucket, a ripper. What else? Trying to think of what else right now. Alright, so I'm going to go, we'll do another heat. What the heck. Let's get her stuck down on there again. Because I got a lot of work done on the last time, just trying to get it off. Hopefully when I get done it doesn't have too terribly much texture. You can see I got rid of that big flat and I'm getting nice rounds on it. Came out much easier that time. Now, I'm going to go ahead and cool this off and have a look at it and see what I think. So you can see that's got nicely rounded compared to what it was. But I'm feeling on the inside and I can feel like I could take a lot more off in that corner and round it more. So I'm going to do one more heat. After that, we'll go ahead and make the clacker and stuff. So let's do one more heat. So yeah, I mean, I want to get the auger for the post hole digger. The auger for the post hole digger is also, you can get another bit for it that's just a cone screw, and you can use that to split down firewood. And one of the things that I did justify getting it is I always get a bunch of firewood, free firewood every year. And the reason I get so much free firewood is because it's almost always real big stuff that nobody else wants to deal with. So with the conical splitter, I can reach out with the excavator. Well, as far as it'll reach out, it's not a very big one, but I can reach out, set that on it, and quarter them up, and then I can just pick the quarters or smaller up and set them onto my regular wood splitter. Because when I bring them home, some of the chunks, you know, I'm bringing home some chunks of big maple and stuff that I bring home, they're 3 foot or more diameter. Oh yeah. I think I just found the secret. Or the angle I have to tip it to make it work more efficiently. That is much better. So I'm driving in that corner now instead of trying to raise everything out. And I'm not moving it a lot. You know, it's stretching a little bit, but it isn't big movement, so I'm not worried about working it right down. Now you can see it's really rounded up there better. So I'll take another heat and come right. I'll come right where that transition is, right here. And hit there on the next heat. Tip it up and come in right here. And then make that blend a little bit better into this side wall, and then we'll be done. That works so good, now I gotta go back for another heat. I wasn't gonna, but I will. Sometimes taking that extra, the wood in Australia, stuff with kindling. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not uncommon for me to bring home chunks that are 3 foot or more diameter. The biggest I can bring home is 4 foot diameter, because that's as wide as I can get on my trailer. But I brought some home that 4 pieces of wood filled my 4x8 trailer and overloaded it weight-wise. And that's good to 1,700 pounds. All right, one more, I mean it this time, one more heat. No, I don't have an oversized truck, Kevin. I've got a little Chevy Traverse, which I rented a U-Haul trailer and I put my mini excavator on it. When I went to get the mini excavator, I was going to get a different model, which was a 1 ton. I was looking at an MX-12, and that only weighed about 1,700 pounds. And then when I got there, what I ended up with was a different brand of VC 15, which is a ton and a half, that weighed 2,200 pounds. And the weight limit on the old U-Haul trailer was 1,900. So I was slightly overweight, and that was before I put on the the crate full of accessories. So I had to be at least, well, I don't know about at least, but I was well over 500 pounds over the weight limit of that trailer. And all right. Oop, somehow I closed it back up on the ball again. All right. Now we've got a much better bell shape. Of course, my flare edge is messed up again. Oh well. We'll straighten that real quick. So, yeah, one more heat again. And I think we're pretty much done with this stake form, or forming stake, whatever you want to call it. It'll go on my shelf full of odd and end tools that I probably never use it again. I mean, I might. Or I could be working on something a week from now and say, oh hey, you know what worked perfect? Alright. I gotta put the 3/8 bar back down in. Make sure that other end's round after I fix the flare. But I think the flare just needs to be flattened is all. Alright. Let me flip it. We're going to open that other end back up and put the rod down through it so that we know that's a 3/8 hole through there. Because I'm going to eventually split it like Thorne Bradley. I don't know who Thorne Bradley is. But I'm eventually going to put a piece up in, and then where that piece is, where the rod that the clacker hangs on that's going to create the hook, that little stem that I got sticking out that I'm going to put this bar in and keep it nice and round, I am going to probably forge weld that before it's all said and done. All right. Oh, there it goes. So that doesn't look too bad. We're pretty good there. All right. And that's all I'm going to do on that. And I'll go ahead and start making the other parts of it. And the other parts, this is all just experiment. And I don't think I'm going to make a handle, I think I'm going to make a loop. Alright, so there's our piece. So I think I'm going to make a piece that's going to go in here, and it's going to come out and make a loop in a nice decent sized ring. Obviously I got to make the ring on the other end before I can do that. I'm just trying to think of how I want to do that. I was thinking that I wanted to go up inside there, take a bigger bar than that, 3/8, take like a 1/2 inch round, neck it down to 3/8, run it through, put a little loop on the inside, forge weld this in, and then make my loop on the outside, but that's after you put the clacker in. But just literally, just now I was thinking, well, if I take this bar and I just flatten a little bit on the end and put a hole in the center, I can hook the clacker into that and it's a lot less work. That's what I might end up doing. So let me cool that end off so I can hold it. Alright. So let's start making inner parts. Just trying to get my weird odds and end tools in one place today. Alright, so I will go ahead and flatten the end out, because then when I flatten it out, it will also become wider, and so it won't fit up through the hole. Of course, it's going to be difficult to get that area up to forge welding temp without burning the flange and the rest of it, but we'll see what we can do. So we got it flattened. I'm going to knock off these corners real quick. Then I think if I drive a center punch down in there to spread that material out of the way a little bit, and make an eye on the end of that. Find it. Center punch. So you can see I knocked the corners off. Now I'm going to put a center punch in there. Push it in, drive some of the material out. I'm probably going to do it in a couple steps. Yeah, that'll work. That's a pretty sharp one. I'll start in with that. Now I'll probably go to a really blunt one and open that hole right up. And then go to a drift. So you can see, I just punched a hole. It's not dead center. The other thing about these clackers is you want them kind of be a real loose fit. You don't want it too tight up inside there, or it'll only want to ring in one direction. Now you're not going to be able to see the other one because I'm going to go over the step. Yeah, I'm going to do that, Alexis, but I just didn't know if I wanted to form how I wanted to form the ring on the inside. You can see now I got a little hole in there. Now, you know what, I'll just get a small punch, drive it in there, kind of open that up. Maybe even just work it all the way down around the punch. There's one. Starting to open it up. It'll take a couple heats. Luckily it's so thin that it's going to go pretty fast. Yeah, I'm not worried about running it through and making, you know, I know I got to make the bottom and run it through. I got to actually hang the clacker on it before I put it up in. All of that. The only thing I'm worried about is once I got all that in, trying to get the heat where I need it to do the forge weld. That's getting there. So that's as far as I'll go with the punch. I got one side's a little thicker than the other. And we'll go right over, my horn comes down pretty fine. I'll go right over to my horn and stretch that out, make it all even, and that'll end up being a little bit bigger around than it is now. Yeah, part of what I'm worried about with the clacker is I'm going to start with a good sized chunk of material, and I'm going to neck it down and then make a little loop that hooks into this. So it's getting bigger. It's just getting all out around, but that's pretty easy to just run the punch back in and re-round it. But you do want it fairly big so that the clacker will swing in both directions. Now it looks good, it's just not centered, so we'll take a second and see if we can't center that without destroying it. And it's not making the clacker, it's trying to get everything the right length, because you kind of want that clacker to come down right in this area on the inside. You don't want it way up in here and you don't want it way down here. You want it right around there. So it may take a little fidgeting to get it just right. Alright, so that's my inside loop that my clacker is going to hang on. Cool that right off. When I put that up inside there, obviously, that's up inside there. Thing is, I want my clacker to be big. And my clacker is going to have two ends off of it. Yeah, it'd be easier just to go ahead and make it than to try to explain it. So I want a little bit of mass there for the clacker. Where did I just put that? I want a little bit of mass for that clacker, so I'm probably going to want maybe 1/2 inch square. Let me see if I got a piece of 1/2 inch square up here. I mean, I got a piece, it's just whether I got to take a piece down and put it in the saw or not. Or if I've already got a chunk. Does not look it. Alright. inch. Alright, hang on guys, I gotta get up. I don't know if you guys can see, but when I go over here on that side, that way, above my door, because that's always wasted space above the door. So I've got racks, just shelf brackets all the way down this wall. And I put like 12-foot chunks along that wall and they go over the door. And now I've got other racks that I store shorter pieces in, but my long stuff all goes up here, and now I gotta get these down. Do I have any half-inch square? I got half round. Half square seems like a size I have. It's just that everything's sitting on this shelf. There's not much way of organizing it. Half-inch square. You know what? I'm going to go with that other piece. That round. This half-inch square would leave me a little more mass. Well, there's the half round. Because the square has more mass than the round. Which was my train of thought. But while the camera's set up, I can't use my bandsaw. So we whack off the piece with the, just grab a grinder and a cutoff wheel. Yeah, my door is right there, so very small shop. No. I don't change wheels too often. I got about 8 grinders down here in the shop. Alright, there's a piece to play around with. Yeah, I gotta get up there and look. I'm pretty sure I got a couple more half-inch squares. They're just in the back buried. So I had a hard time getting to it. Alright. So, now we've got our half-inch square. What I'm going to do is I'm going to knock that down, and probably about that much material ought to give me enough to go up and hook into that clacker. And then that half-inch will give me enough mass to make a good sized ball to clack with. All right, Kevin. Yeah, for me the fun part is just going to be trying to get the part that sticks out of the where the hook's going to be, where that piece goes up through, the bell, I'm going to try to forge weld it right there, and it's going to be holding on to everything while bringing it up to welding heat without burning the thin spots. It's just going to be a project no matter what. I might even go back into my, after I put it up in, before I actually forge weld it, go in, probably do it cold, put it in my guillotine tool right there and squeeze it down nice and tight onto that bar while it's cold. And kind of lock it on so that I don't have to fidget with it too much, and I can come out with it locked on the bar, come in and make that weld. Just what little bit I did, locked it on that bar. Alright. So I don't want to take very much, but I'm going to hang a little bit off onto the anvil, squish it down. Whatever's hanging off isn't going to get squished. I'm not taking a lot, maybe 3/8 of an inch. So I've started isolating some material. Heat it back up, come right back to that same spot. I got a pretty sharp corner there on the anvil, and I'll just draw that down real thin, and that'll be my loop up inside that hooks onto the hanger. That'll be the top half, then I'll form the ball, and then the bottom half that hangs onto the string. In theory. So it's drawn out. Giving me my material. Just going to straighten my bar back up. Go back in and keep working that down and farther out. You notice it's not in the center, and I don't care because I can push it to the center later. It's growing. It's just it cools down so fast, and I kind of messed up and hit where I wasn't supposed to, so I had to go back and correct that instead of drawing out, and makes it go a little slower. Still going. I think I'm going to need a little bit more to reach up and hit that clacker up inside. Or not the clacker, but the loop it hangs from. Okay, now I'm just going to put it up in there for size. Look and see, and I think I've got enough there. So now I'm just going to center that, push it to the center. Now, actually I'm going to touch up a little bit that I just burnt. Get it back in the fire, but put my tip farther in this time so I don't burn it again. Time to feed the horses. I mean, Trail Dust is always there on everybody's streams. He's on Jack Pines, was on Yamaza's all the time. But aside from him, how about you other guys? Are you liking watching the streams, or you want to see something different, or what? So I'm just kind of pushing it over. It'll take a couple heats because I want to do it without actually, if you try to do it too fast, it'll tear it. And I want this to be, you know, about 1/2 inch diameter circle, kind of like the clacker, or the hook that it's going to hang on. Take another heat. You definitely don't want to try to do that cold. Push it to the center. Watching me stream Minecraft. Well, I don't think you have to worry about me streaming Minecraft because I've never played it. My brother was a big gamer, not me. Alright, so you can see I'm pushing it towards the center. It's kind of fighting me on this one side. And it might not matter. I could probably move on without that. It doesn't have to be dead centered to work. Alright, so now the other end, I'm going to leave roughly a 1/2 inch cube for the ball. Then I'm going to leave probably a 1/2 inch cube to be drawn out into the other end where the string is going to be tied on. Sounds about right. So I guess I'll leave a little over an inch. We'll play with that, see where that leaves us. Alright, I'll throw this over there out of the way where I won't burn myself. Now you can see I left the chunk there, a chunk for my clacker. This chunk's going to get drawn out, about half that's going to get drawn right out. So into the fire. The other thing is, I'm just doing this for fun. I don't ever expect to be monetized. I'm not a content creator, so I'm not really worried about coming up with something new every week. If I did that, I just wouldn't do it. And at the same time, I'm also, you know, I'm trying to make something right now that I haven't made before. And I'm going to show you how I forge. Not how I forge in front of the camera, how I forge in general. If I want to take 3 heats and do it right and take longer, you'll see I do that. If I rush through it, I could rush through it and do it a lot faster, but it's not going to look as good in the end. Anybody that knows me knows that I try to make my stuff look nice. Alright, so let's try to pinch off and leave some clacker. So you can see I'm isolating some material there. That camera makes this look a lot hotter than what it is. Then back into the fire we go. What are we LOL in? So you can see, now we're drawing out the other side. That side I'm going to take out and put a ring on that end where the string will tie to ding it. So I left a little more material than I did on the first side, because I want to put a bigger loop on that side. Who's D? Alright, now I'm already seeing a problem. I should have just took my thing and put that in the center, because now with this side being so thin, I have a hard time holding the bar when it comes time to these clackers. Ha ha ha. I'm going to have a hard time holding it to center it back up. But we'll make it work. Luckily, when it's small, it heats up pretty quick. I guess what I can do probably to slide that over, because I'm going to have a hard time holding it, is just do it in the vise. Take it over, put it in the vise, shift it over there after I get it all drawn out. See, it's getting longer, getting smaller. I'm getting to the point where I'll round this up pretty soon. And then round up the ball, the clacker itself in the center. I got a little bend on the end of that, and my tongs didn't want to fit it. Wasted the whole heat just trying to get a grip on it. Alright. Let's finish that end up. Get close. Good thing is that small, it heats fast. Starting to round it up, got a little bit left. Right on the end, that's going to heat up really fast. Alright, we got that drawn down and rounded up. Now I'll work on centering that. Like I said, probably the easiest thing to do is going to be go over here to the vise. Got to get a good heat into it in order to center that, because I got to get the heat into where the thickest part of the bar is still. Yeah, I guess alcohol can't be as expensive in Australia as I thought it was, because it sounds like Alexis is getting into it. Yeah, that is not working the way I wanted it to. It did not push over. So, right in the center of my fire, I got a big dark spot. Let me clean that out real quick a little bit. I got this big square chimney, and inside there's a tapered part that runs from the back towards the front as it goes up, and then it makes like a smoke shelf in here. But essentially down at the bottom, it's pretty much the whole inside of that is wide open. So I will take I'll take the clinker and stuff a lot of times and I just throw it in the chimney. And then when the chimney, bottom of the chimney starts getting full, I'll go in there with a shovel and rake it all out while it's cold and dispose of it. Alright, let me get a good heat on it. Clean my fire out a little bit. Yeah, see, it's just bending back there where I'm holding it. Just making it real hard. Try getting a little more heat into it and try it again. I cool that end down real quick, but by the time I cool that end down and get a good grip back onto it, the heat that I need, the high heat on the other end, will be gone. So it's going to be difficult and fidgety. I just got to deal with only getting a little bit done each heat. Alright, that's kind of working. Got a feeling it's going to bust off right next to that block on the end where I'm holding it. 6 inches of snow, yeah, we got about that too. More heat, more heat. But it's thin like that, if you try to rush it, you're just going to break it off. It's taking way longer than it should have. I guess I should have just went in with my guillotine tool and folded it down on both sides and left it like a 1/2 inch block. Then that piece would be in the center and it wouldn't be a big deal. See how much I'm bending it right there? If I keep doing that, it's going to break off on me. Now I'm going to start rounding that up. I know it's not centered, but I'm hoping that while I'm rounding it up, I can bring that one end back into center. But I do kind of need to spin my anvil. I need that rounded edge and not a real sharp one. All right. I think that's where I want to go. It's into there. To get her done. I mean, I've done that ball on the end of the rod, but never with something sticking out of both ends. And I'm finding that now it's hard to get into the where I need to. Maybe if I use my peen. Get some more heat. starting to round it up. It's kind of oblong, and I can't stand it up so that I can come in on the corners like you normally do when you round something. So I'm not really sure if I'm going to be able to get this round. And that's disappointing. Alright. Let me think here how I can save this. And how I save this might be just go over there, cool it off, go over there to the belt sander and just make it round. Because I can't get in and hit at the right angle to compact that. So I'd have to hit here and here, and when I try it just folds over because it's too long. So let me do this. So I'm starting to get it. I'm just straightening it out. I think I'm going to cheat and go over there and sand some off. And I will have to figure out how to do that ball. Like I said, if I'd have just used the guillotine tool and it had centered it from the beginning, I wouldn't have this problem. Are stills illegal there? I mean, I'm not even sure they're illegal here in the States now with all the microbrewing and stuff you're allowed to do. Let me cool this off. cool it right off. I'm going to go over and just fix this on the belt sander. The biggest problem I had was pushing it back to the center instead of starting with it in the center, because usually I'll just start with it and taper out and draw out to one side and then push it to the center afterwards. But the problem is this is so small that when I grab here and I try to push it to the center, back here I need to be holding it rigid and it's just bending. Legal to make, just not sell. Okay. Alright, with a little cheating, we got a little teardrop shaped clacker. So now what we have to do is bend this shorter end into a loop to hook onto that and try to get the length right. This is not going to be any fun. I mean, not this part, but when I get to the forge weld. I mean, I've got a really, really dirty fire. I mean, really dirty. Alright, so you don't really need a little finial on the end because, well, it's going to be up inside, nobody's going to see it. So what we do is we do that. I'm going to push this out, hook this in there, pull it up in, and you can see my clacker is a little bit too far down. But I like the size of that hook. So I think what I'm going to do is just cut a little bit off of it. Oh, where it is. So we're going to cut a little off and then redo the hook, and we're going to try to move it up and get it right so that that hook is hitting on the top of the flare pretty much. I guess is what it'd be called. So I think I want to cut off about yay much. We'll go back in, we'll heat it up, and we'll try it again. We'll make it about ½ an inch shorter. Let me check it. If it looks good, I'll close it up. See, I'm hitting right. That looks pretty good, right about where I want to be hitting. So let me just refine that hook a little bit. Getting a nice little hook there. Double check it, make sure nothing changed. See that my clacker's coming down right there, right there. Alright, I think I'm going to flip the end, make my hook on the other end. And then close this down on that. It'll just be easier to do this hook before I put it on. Oh, should have put a finial. This end is going to be seen. What I might do is just grab my rolling tongs and just put it on with them. Got my finial. Now I can go ahead and roll that around. Help if I could hold on to it a little better. Those tongs aren't created for this. Maybe the next size up will work better. We're getting it. I'm going to take one more heat and just correct the shape a little bit. This is going to be interesting. I really don't know why I was thinking I had to leave that open, because I don't have to hook that on. I like to play with them and get them centered, you know, to that straight shaft pretty good. So now I should be able to pull this off. Take my bar right out of here. Hook my clacker onto the bar. And close that up. I'm going to close it up over here just because I want to take a little more length out of it. Close it up. Let me heat that other end. Just fidget with it to get it where I want it. I need a little heat. And I may put this on before I forge weld and just put a tack weld onto the bar. Just one little tack to hold that bar so that I can use the bar as a handle. He was trying to see your boobs. He didn't want to pay for the OnlyFans. I don't know why I'm worried about how this end looks. It's going to be up inside. Now I still care what it looks like. Alright, so my clacker's hanging on there. Hang on, let me move around so that I can see what you can see. My clacker's hanging on there. I can tie a string on here and ting 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 ting. The rod is still really long, so I can use it as a handle. Kind of curious what the sound is like. Not much ring. Maybe that'll get better when I'm hanging it and not holding it. I'm going to try to pinch this down onto the rod, see what happens. If it doesn't hold it really secure, I'll put a tiny little tack with the MIG welder right there. To hold it just while I'm doing the forge weld. Yeah, alright, I'm going to put a little MIG weld there. Not all the way around, just one little tack to hold it. And I'm not against using a welder every now and then. I mean, some things you want to be traditional, some you just want to make. This one, it doesn't have to be traditional because, to be honest with you, I don't even know how much of it would be considered traditional. Alright, that's good. Don't weld without a helmet, just letting these guys know. I knew that just putting a tack on wasn't going to bother my eyes. So you can see now, right there, I just put one little blob on it. So that when I bring it out and I go to do that forge weld right there, I can use this as a handle. And everything's going to stay pretty solid. Before I do the forge weld, I got to clean this fire. Okay, let me get my fire built off good. I gotta get the fire right up out of the pot in order to get that bar hot enough with that flange for the flare on it from the belt. That would be a good place to forge braze, except that I'm going to have to make the top loop, and when you do that, you heat it up, it's going to melt the braze right back out. I mean, if I wanted to, I could just finish welding right around there and then go back and just hammer it all in. You wouldn't even know it was there. I might do that. It'll certainly make it a lot easier, and I've been working out in the garage all morning, so I'm getting tired. Turn it on. Alright, so I just went all the way around it, made it easier. Now I don't have to worry about getting that fire built all the way up. So you can see, I'm just going to go back, hit that on the sander real quick, clean it up, and then just drive all that right in. All right. Put a ton of fresh coals on, so I got a whole lot of. Well, sometimes I don't like doing it, and sometimes I just, I just want to get it done. And sometimes I'm going to go back and forge weld anyway, but I just want it to be held together when I do it because it's easier to handle. Especially if it's an odd shape, or like I got to heat back behind the bell, but and not burn up the other parts that are hanging out of it. All right, got a little smoky in here. Got to make sure I keep that hook that's on the end of the clapper out the other side of the fire so it doesn't burn off. If it comes out good, I'll probably take this one to my my next meeting of my local group and put it in the iron in the hat. I've been playing around with welding without the flux a lot lately, but in this case, because I've heated up that thing so many times, I'm going to go ahead and put a little flux inside there. Because I've heated up that bell a lot of times trying to get it flared out and rounded and just how I wanted it. So I'm going to put some flux down in there and let it melt right down in and get that back in the fire. That was looking good. I was getting good heat, but my clacker wasn't even burning. Wasn't even hot, glowing yet. I had a pretty good position in the fire. I like that. Cut back my air a little bit. Bring it up to welding without burning it. Spin it so I can have that rounded corner over there. Lexi, what do you need to forge weld? Most important things. Wow. I should have just done the tack weld because that welded beautifully. Yeah, you were summoned. We went over John's welding. What's the most important thing when you're making that forge weld? Remember when I broke basically every rule and explained that only one thing really mattered, or it mattered more than anything else? Oop, cold coal out with it. Now I'm stepping on it and melting my shoe. Probably have to let this cool down so you guys can see it. But that blended in. The weld is way back here now because it's stretched. The weld's way back here, and that's forged weld. The rest of the way to the bell. Now I just have to figure out how I want to do draw out my taper for my hookup on the top. Being fast, that's it. Speed. Speed, getting it out and getting it to that anvil fast. Number one, as far as I'm concerned, that's probably the number one thing in forge welding. Is just getting it there fast enough and getting it welded before it cools. Too many guys pull it out, fidget with their hammer. By the time they get over there to make the weld, they've lost their heat. Speed and just having it at the right heat, but the older I get, that heat seems to be less. That forge welded pretty good there. It was at a bright orange, but it wasn't at a yellow where I used to forge weld. It wasn't a bright orange, it was just orange. Now I suppose, because I want to use some of that handle while I'm drawing out the taper, so that it's not as awkward. So I think what I'm going to do is put the bell right there, come over here, and start drawing on this edge. And then taper back towards it. And that way I get a lot of the taper before I cut it off. Oh, and I never turn my fire back up. A lot of times I'll turn my fire down just before. I'll have a nice hot fire and I'll bring it up to temp. And that'll cut my air way back, almost to nothing. And let it sit there for 20 seconds, 10 seconds, and just soak up some of the oxygen. And then pull it out and do the weld. Does it do anything? I don't really know. Does it seem to make it easier? I think so. See what I'm doing? I'm drawing it backwards just because it's so much easier to have this handle. Probably not as efficient, but I think having the handle isn't as efficient as not needing the handle. I don't know, it's hard to explain. Yes, if it was out the other way, it'd be more efficient, but because of the shape of the bell, you'd be grabbing on down on the flange with a set of real small flat tongs, and they'd be up and out and up and out, and they'd be kind of awkward. Which I'll end up having to do before I get it down to where it needs to be. So yeah, like I said, this will probably go in when I go to my December meet of my blacksmith group. This will probably go in the Iron in a Hat, which is a raffle that we do to raise money for the club. You can see I'm drawing out that taper, and I've just left the bar hanging off. Bell is ringing. Yeah, well, I mean, at temp it doesn't have much ring. But I'm curious what the ring's going to sound like once it's hanging and you're holding it in the hand isn't deadening the ring. And I go to my group, my chapter's local meetings, and we get a lot of new blacksmiths and stuff, and I get a kick out of it when they try to make a weld. They pull it out, they're standing there, they're looking at it. By the time they even hit it, they're already past their welding heat. And I'm like, put it back in the fire, and they look at me like I got 3 heads. And I tell them, you've already missed the heat. So we're getting there. I mean, at some point I'm going to straighten that out and start rounding it. And I'll have, you know, like 90% of that done before I take it off that handle. See, I'm already starting to round up down there. I mean, if I can grab it with tongs straight in line, it's not bad to work with stuff, but when your tongs are off at an angle and it's awkward, it drives me nuts. So if I can get it done without removing it off the handle, I'll do everything I can and then take it off the handle at the last second. And you guys will see, I'll have it down probably to where it's bending by itself before I take it off the handle. We're round all the way to about there. You know what? This is going to be a pretty cute looking little bell if I do say so myself. Next time I think I might make it a little taller. It's starting to bend. So I'm getting down there. I'm going to have to cut it off soon and deal with the awkwardness, because when I pull it out, you're going to see it'll probably bend just going to the anvil. It's getting so thin. I'm going to go ahead now and maybe I can get one more heat out of there. Draw it down a little more. I mean, if I pinch it and it cuts it off, then oh well. See what I'm saying? It bent on the way there. All right. Now this is the part I'm talking about. You'll see how awkward it is with tongs at this, because you got to grab way down on the flare to not crush anything. We'll taper down, get a little more length out of that, round it up, and then make our hook. Nice thing is, it's small, it'll heat fast. Let's take just a little heat right on the end and put a finial on the end. Little finial. I think I'm going to go to the vise for a second on the next heat and give it the kick that comes off in the vise. That way I got a nice straight section up to it. Coming off the top of the belt. Whoops, drop forged. I do have some lining up to do right at the bottom of it where it goes into the belt. So yeah, I gotta take the rest of them balls and make some more stands basically, and then weld the balls onto them. You know, like that. Nothing fancy. Now I got a nice bend there. I'll heat this up, bring it around. I'll cool that little itty bitty finial so they don't damage it. That little scroll on the end. I call them finials because it is the end of the bar. Cool the finial, come over, start wrapping it around. We're getting there. It's a little oblong shape yet, so let me work some more at it. We're almost there. We're getting there. I'm liking that. Let me bring it around just a little more. Most people would be like, yeah, that's good enough. I'm like, I got a little bit more I can do and refine that shape. That's just me. And I don't have to worry about making money. A lot of people are, you know, don't want to spend that extra time because time is money. I don't like that end. Sometimes I just got to look at it and figure out why it doesn't look right. And realize that I've been hitting the wrong spot, making it worse. I don't know why it doesn't look right to me. I think I bent that too far. Now I got to put it on and just kind of make sure that it's straight coming up off in the bell itself. I'm going to live with that. I got my bell, my clacker. I have worked this so much that there is just a massive layer of scale on it. But let me hang it off something. It's got almost no ring. Looks good. It's got almost no ring, so I think my clacker might be up too high, because it sounded better when I was hitting lower. Maybe it was just the extra weight. I don't know. Let me go clean it up. I gave it a good wire brushing. If the thing focuses, you can see all the hammer marks in there and down there. I mean, I could have worked it down colder and worked it a lot longer and made a lot of that go away. Up in there where I welded it, you can't tell where I welded it, because when I welded it was here, but it's actually way up here now, because I welded it together and then it drew out, and that's about the original size down here. Find a hook, hang it somewhere there. Now it's got almost, yeah, I don't even know if this is a bell. Might ring better if I just cut that piece off. I was thinking tie a string onto there. But it doesn't sound very good. It looks really good. It doesn't ring very well. So who knows, maybe next week I will try another one and I will try to make it bigger. Maybe I'll use something else other than a piece of pipe, or maybe a bigger piece of pipe or a thinner piece of pipe to start with. I don't think I want to do it in copper. I mean, it kind of rings. Now I'm curious if I just cut this off to see what it sounds like. I think I'm actually going to cut that end off. Cut that off and just leave just the clacker in there. Alright, well, that was, I'd like to be able to say that was fun, but nah, it really wasn't all that fun. And I just didn't like the fact that when I got done it had little to no ring. I wonder if I heat the whole thing up and I plunge it in water and really, I mean, it's not hardened, but I wonder if that would be enough to tighten up the grain in that just a little bit and give it some more ring. Was probably a good call. Just cutting it off. The other thing is, how do I cut it off? I'd have to get in there, heat it up, open it up, take the clacker out, cut it off, put it back in, and tighten it back up. Which I could do with a torch. Yeah, I think I'm going to do another one. Maybe do a bigger one. Alright guys. I don't even know what time it is. I know I'm going on 3 hours. It's almost 9 o'clock here. So I'm going to call it a night. Get on inside. Relax for a little bit before I go to bed. You guys have fun. Got the handle off the clacker, then quenched the thing. Yeah, I think I'm going to try it. Alright guys,